All right, so the next stop on our exploration of the Haggadah is Magid. Magid makes up the bulk of the Haggadah, and in fact, the word Magid is the same root word as the Haggadah, which means the telling. And this is the part where we tell the story of the Exodus from Egypt. And as we say in the Haggadah, the more you tell about it, the more praiseworthy it is, right? This is a kind of a mitzvah that the more you do, the better it is, and therefore we even read the story about the 5 rabbis who did it all night long until it was time to say Shema in the morning. Now, it's one way to do it is to read through the entire Haggadah, and that's certainly a praiseworthy way to do it. That's the way our rabbis established for us to do it. But if there's a point in the Haggadah where it's appropriate to go off script, this is it. Because the essence of the Magid is encapsulated by this statement that we make of B'chol dor v'dor chayav adam lirot atzmo ke'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim. In every generation, each person needs to see themselves as leaving Egypt. And so the exploration of what does it mean to leave Egypt and how do we experience this redemption in our life, this is of the essence. And so that we need to get to that point where each of us can say that God has taken me out of Egypt. And so all of the various themed Haggadot, right, that this one makes a addiction recovery Haggadah, and this one makes an LGBTQ Haggadah, and this one makes a civil rights Haggadah, and all the different kinds of liberations that we've experienced in our life are appropriate to recount here, so that we get to the point of really experiencing it in ourselves. So I don't think that's a problem. I think quite the contrary. That's really the essence of it. And so to really delve into what does it mean to be free, and then to tell the story not only of our liberation as a people from Egypt, which is in the Haggadah narrated, but also our personal redemption. There are a few ingredients which are sort of critical ingredients to the Magid, and one of them is the questions that we ask, the 4 questions, but it's not really about those questions in particular, as it is the sense of you shall tell it to your child. And that's where the word Magid and the word Haggadah comes from, the mitzvah to tell it over to your child. And so the asking of questions is really of the essence here. And we want to do all kinds of strange things. As the Rambam tells us, you take the Seder plate away, sometimes we're leaning, sometimes we're up, sometimes we have different things on the Seder plate, all for the purpose of getting people to say, hey, what's so different about this night? Why is this night different from all other nights? And we want to get to the point where each of us is sort of in that place of puzzlement and of, wow, there's something is different, and wanting to explore what that is, and cultivating the curiosity so that we can each, get to that point of asking our Father in heaven, why is this night different? How are we different? How are we liberated? It's not necessarily a sense of the particular details, right? That's one kind of a question, and that's why we have these 4 sons that we read about, the 4 children. One that asks a practical question, one that asks sort of a psycho-emotional question, to whom we say the real thing that you need to do is see that this is including you. Right, one who we have to sort of explain it to from the beginning, and one who doesn't even know how to ask, and so we have to open and cultivate their curiosity for them. So each of us is perhaps a combination of these 4, or one of these 4, or several of these 4. But we want to get to the point that each of us is sort of in that role of a child asking a question in that very sweet, innocent way. And that ultimately that's freedom. One of the kinds of freedom that we as Jews celebrate is the freedom to ask questions. In working with converts, one of the things that I've noticed again and again is they say that in Judaism all of their questions are welcome, are celebrated, and in their experience in other faiths is that you can't question. Now I don't know that that's true of all faiths. I think that there are certainly those that allow for questioning. But one of the things that highlights Judaism is that the very essence of our faith, the very essence of the identity of being a Jew is what we're trying to pass on in the Haggadah and in the Seder night. And that comes with questions, with wanting questions, that sense of if you're really interested in Judaism, if you really want to know, if you want to get to know Hashem, you want to get to understand the Torah, questions is so critical. And it says in Pirkei Avot, Lo Baishal Lomed, that someone who's too shy to ask a question isn't really going to learn anything. The essence of learning carries with it. This is, I want to know, I want to ask a question. So that's part of what we want to get to. There is also some ingredients that Rabban Gamliel says that we need to explore, and if we didn't, we haven't fulfilled our obligation. I'm going to share now here the screen, and you see this is Rabban Gamliel's 3 things. He says that the essential ingredients are the mitzvot of Pesach, and there are, in addition to the mitzvah of V'higadat Lavincha, of telling the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim, of the Exodus from Egypt. There's also the mitzvot of the things that we eat, right? Matzah, maror, and the Pesach sacrifice. And so we have to mention them and to sort of explain them and to say that it's not just an eating, but rather it's a symbolic eating, and there's meaning behind it. So anyone who has not said these 3 things, says Rabban Gamliel, has not fully fulfilled your obligation. And they are the Pesach sacrifice, the matzah, and the maror. And the Pesach sacrifice, we say this is what our ancestors would eat while there was a temple, and the reason is because God passed over our houses, and while He was smiting the firstborn of Egypt, and therefore we have a Passover sacrifice. The word Pesach means lifsoach, is like to skip or to pass over. So it's a paschal sacrifice is a silly word because the word paschal, right, comes from the Pesach, but it means actually to pass over. Now the matzah zu, we hold it up because we don't have a Pesach offering right now, but we do have the matzah. And we say, why do we make the matzah? It says because when we were leaving Egypt, we had to leave in a hurry, and we didn't have the time to make a sourdough, to make a proper inflated bread. Now it's a little bit ironic that we say this because we were instructed by God a week in advance to make matzah, but the sense of re-experiencing that haste of having to do things very quickly and be in a hurry to get out. That's part of the essence of it, that we're trying to re-experience that sense of we're trying to just go. And so we make the matzah in a very quick way, and we don't give it time to rise, so that it's sort of is emblematic of that experience of haste. So that's why we have the matzah, and then the maror, because the Egyptians embittered our lives. And we're free, and the sense of and the contrast between the taste of freedom of the matzah and the taste of bitterness of slavery is so important. Now, the end of Magid closes with a bracha over the second cup of wine. And what's so beautiful is to say that we see that very much embedded in the bracha that we're going to say is the sense that Pesach is not just about a socio-political liberation. It's not just that we were historically slaves in Egypt and now we're free, but rather it's something which is in our kishkas, it's in our experience every day, and certainly each person at every Pesach. We fulfill this mitzvah in order that we should remember our exodus from Egypt every day of our life. So one way to read it is that we have to remember every day of our life. Another way to read it is that we exodus from Egypt every day of our life, and that there is a little bit of an exodus in every day. And you see here at the end that we say Al Geulatenu, right, our redemption, Ve'al Pidyon Nafshenu, on the redemption of our soul, and the sense of we as individuals are liberated every year, certainly, and we have that sort of recollection every day. And so we say the bracha, right? Say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, who redeemed us and redeemed our ancestors from Egypt. See, again, it's redeemed us and redeemed our ancestors. It's not just a once upon a time. And brought us this night to eat matzah and maror, right? It's right here, right now. So too, Lord our God and God of our ancestors, bring us to other appointed times and holidays that will come to greet us in peace and joyful in the building of your city and happy in your worship. And there we will eat from the offerings and from the Pesach sacrifices, the blood of which shall reach the wall of your altar for favor. And we shall thank you with a new song upon our redemption and upon the restoration of our souls, that we're able to really manifest that this is something that happened to us nationally as a people, and for each of us as an individual. Baruch Atah Hashem, who redeemed Israel. And then we drink the second cup, always leaning to the left, in the manner of free people. may it be that we really have a strong Magid this year, that each of us is able to see how it is that Hashem is liberating us in our individual lives, and that we see it as a people. And may we also soon see that we'll bring the Pesach sacrifice in Yerushalayim, and we'll do it the way it was meant to be done. Chag Sameach.